what's up guys? Coming at you with another BRL race recap video here, but we're way behind the 8 ball on this one. This is the last race of last year, the BRL round 4 at Daytona International Speedway. So we're way behind, way late on this thing. Thought we'd get it out there anyways, you know, let everybody know kind of how our last race went, how we finished our season. So yeah, we get to the racetrack on Thursday night, get in, get set up, get everything in the garages, get the bikes, tools, gear, everything all kind of organized. We get through tech inspection, get the bike all done, get all the registration, all the paperwork and stuff filled out and everything ready to go for the next day. So kind of just the not so glamorous part of it all, but we get set up and we're ready to rock for Friday morning. But, you know, rolling in there Thursday night, you know, rolling into Daytona International Speedway is, you know, for me anyways, and if you're any sort of race fan of any type of racing, you know a thing about Daytona Speedway, just the history that place has, whether it's, you know, in the motorcycle world with, you know, the Daytona 200 or, you know, NASCAR, IndyCar, Le Mans, all the, you know, and just the history of the track and what's gone on there. It's really a special place. It was kind of a, you know, bucket list item for me to race there. We had considered not going just because of the distance and how far it was going to go and just the cost involved with it. But I just knew I had to take the opportunity to get there and race on the speedway, and I definitely don't regret that decision. The place is just amazing. So, but yeah, so we get back in on Friday. Friday's a kind of a full day of practice sessions and qualifying. And we're going in with very little data. We've never raced there before. You know, we have a little bit of, you know, data from just, we've talked to other teams, other people that have ridden there. So we have a little bit of knowledge, but not a lot. So I got a lot to learn. Not only do I need to learn the track itself, you know, braking points and apexes and all the different things about the track, both on the infield and then, you know, kind of running the bank, learning how to use the draft and, you know, running the banks, you know, in the NASCAR, you know, oval sections. We're also figuring out the bike, what works good on the bike, suspension, gearing. Gearing is a huge factor there. I mean, it's all about top speed there. I mean, just like in the NASCAR world, it's all about top speed, who can go the fastest and who's got the top end power. So we get through practice, we're making some changes, both gearing, suspension, getting dialed in.
All right, first practice session, Daytona Speedway, baby. That's unreal. That track is unbelievably fast, but really fun. That was our first practice session, so I'm just trying to feel it out, figure out the infield sections, but I mean, it's wild, man. This is a different track. This is big boy stuff right here, so we're gonna get ready. We're going right back out for second practice.
Make a few more changes and we go out for the first session of qualifying. Actually, if I remember right, there was only one qualifying session, so we go out for the qualifying session. We go out and we're just trying to lay down a hot lap. I go out lap 1 and I get out into the banks of NASCAR turn 1 and 2. The bike starts cutting out, acting kind of funny, and you know, I'm running down the backstretch. It seems okay, but not quite. I get into the banks of turn 3 and 4 and it's kind of just acting funny, so I pull into the pits. You know, the guys run over and they check it out. We're looking at the bike, trying to figure out what's going on. It's cutting out, it's missing. And we see that a spark plug cable or spark plug wire had come off. So like, shit, you know, I said, hurry, slam it on there and I'll go back out, because we only have, you know, I think it was like a 12-minute session, 15-minute session maybe, which sounds like a long time, but when you're talking about a 3.5 mile course, you know, and lap times of, 2 minutes or whatever they were, you don't have a whole lot of laps to get out there and get comfortable, and so we're burning daylight, we're burning time here. So I said, you know, plug it in, going back out. I go back out, run the infield, everything seems fine. I hit the bank, wide open throttle, and it starts doing the same thing again. It starts cutting out kind of funny, acting weird. So I pull back in and I just go straight to the garage, because there's got to be something else going on. So yeah, I mean, basically I come out of the qualifying session without really a hot lap. So I technically ran a lap, but it was a slow lap because I wasn't up to speed. I was either pulling off the track or pulling off. So it wasn't a good lap time. So, I basically I'm qualified technically because I finished a lap, but it's way back. My starting position's like 7th, which I'm not super happy about at this point because we were running really competitive lap times in practice and getting faster. So kind of bummed that my starting position isn't that great. So we pull into the garage, we're trying to, we're checking out the bike, going over it, looking at things. We come to the conclusion at this point that it's just a bad plug wire. So we changed the plug wires, put it all back together. At this point, qualifying practice is over, so I don't have any more track time. But I just felt like there was something more going on. We put the plug wires on, I kind of pull out and I just ride it through the pits a little bit. And I can do 10 or 20 miles an hour, so I can't really get a good idea of how it's running. It feels okay, like it's not cutting out at least, but something just didn't sound right. The motor just sounded off to me, so I pull back in the garage and we end up doing a compression and a leak down check on it, and then I find that front cylinder had an intake valve that wasn't closing all the way. That's all I know at this point. I don't know what has gone on or what's happened, but luckily we had decided to bring our backup motor with us. We had considered not taking it, but we brought it. So, this is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. One of the things with Daytona Speedway is they actually close the garages and lock the gates, and they kick everybody out at 6 p.m. And 6 p.m. on the dot. So it's like 4 o'clock, and we're trying to figure out, all right, do we start trying to swap a motor right now? We're going to run out of time. They're going to kick us out. We have a race tomorrow morning. So the Sunday schedule is an open practice at, I think it was 8:30 on Sunday morning, and then the race is at noon.
It's plan B time. Thought we maybe just had a bad plug wire, got a new plug wire, fired it up. It just sounded funny. Just didn't seem right. We did a compression test, leaked down, discovered we have a bent valve. It's running right there. It was, but I don't want to drop the valve. I don't want to destroy this motor completely. So we're doing a motor swap. We're just going to go back to the small motor so that we can get out on the track tomorrow and at least finish the race, finish the season. So the bad thing is they kick us out of here at 6. So we've only got about 45 minutes right now to get as far as we can. We'll have to get in early and then finish it up in the morning, and hopefully we can make everything run, get everything right in the morning, and get out there for the race. So we're in scramble mode right now.
I just decide, like, worst case scenario, start this motor swap right now. We'll work up until they kick us out. We'll get back in here early in the morning. Worst case, if I miss the morning practice session, it's not the end of the world, but it'd be nice. But we'll be ready by noon for the race. So the 3 or 4 of us, we just all start tag teaming. We get the motor ripped out, and we actually get the new motor placed in the frame, and at least the motor mounts bolted and everything torqued there before the staff at Daytona comes around and basically pushes us out the door and locks the gate at 6. We go back to the house, kind of talk about the day, figure out what we need to do. Gates open Saturday morning at 7 a.m. is when the gates open. We're like, well, we'll just try and push the limits. Let's show up at like 6 and see if they'll let us in. And so we get up the next morning. We get to the track at 6, and they let us in. So we have about 2.5 hours of time before that first open practice. We're just, we pick up right where we left off. We get the primary put together, all the oil lines hooked up, get the computer flash with the new map with the smaller motor, and we get it ready for the 8:30 session. I got to go, while I had to run to a riders meeting, I think at 8, and the guys had everything buttoned up by the time I got back from riders meeting. I geared up and went out for practice. which was, you know, really nice because we had just done a whole bunch of work to the bike. And at least I was able to go out in practice and just make sure everything was dialed in, that we covered everything, we did everything right. There was no oil leaks, there's nothing going on, the bike was running good. Kind of put my mind at ease for lining up on the grid. So, you know, kudos to my guys for, you know, doing a motor swap in like 4 hours. You know, so they killed it and got us back out on the track for practice. The only bad thing about this whole deal is that, like, by swapping the motor, we gave up around 40 horsepower. I mean, the backup motor is really a little bit more than a stock motor. So it's basically a stock motor with a mild cam, and it is all it is. So we had basically seriously handicapped ourselves for the race in a bad way. And it's like the worst track to have to go to this motor on because, like I said, Daytona, it's all wide open. It's all about high RPM horsepower, top speed, how fast can you get going is going to be the quickest. So we really handicapped ourselves, but it was better. I mean, it was the only alternative we had. We had that the option of a slow motor or don't line up at all. So, you know, we did what we had to do, gone out there in the race. So we line up for the grid. I'm gridded 7th spot. We take the green flag. I actually get a really great jump, and then I make a mistake. What happened is I started with my right foot on the ground. I get a great launch, and I go to put my foot up on the foot peg, and there's no peg there. And I'm searching for it, and the great jump that I just got and kind of got up to the guys on the front row, they ended up just taking off because I couldn't find my foot peg and I couldn't shift. So what happened was I started with my right foot down, and when I took off and I picked my foot up, I folded my peg up. So when I went to put my foot there was no peg there, and it took me a second to figure out that it had folded up. I mean, we're talking milliseconds here, but milliseconds on that start line are 4 or 5 positions. So get out there, make a couple of passes in that first lap. We come around, and actually they red flagged that first lap. There was an incident that happened behind me. I never saw it. Pull off, we red flag. We wait a couple minutes. They re-grid us. Second green flag. I don't get as good of a jump, but I get off the line, and we're racing. And I just know I'm way underpowered, so I guess I got to just give it everything I can. Kind of running around the race. Most of the race, I was sitting 4th position. Gunner on the Trask bike was out front. Arnie was chasing him. Chris Rivas was up there. And I was sitting, actually, you know what, I was sitting 5th most of the race behind Steve Chamberlain. Kind of chasing him, trying to hang with him. Couldn't quite hang with him in the you know, speedway sections, but I was kind of hanging there close enough. About mid-race, I see Arnie drop out. They had some mechanical failure or something happened there. So I'm sitting 4th. We come around second to last lap on NASCAR turn 4. I'm following Steve, and I'm close enough that I catch his draft, and we come up close to the start-finish line, and I was drafting on him, and I was pulling up on him, and I could have pulled out of the draft and made a pass. And in that moment, I thought, okay, I know I can draft him, and I can pass him, and so I made a decision to chop the throttle and just stay right behind him, just in tow with him, and thinking, okay, I'm going to take the white flag, and then I'm going to do this on the last lap and beat him to the finish line. So that was my plan at the white flag. You know, we run the infield back out onto the speedway. He gets a little bit of a gap on me in the horseshoe on the back stretch. We go into NASCAR turn 3 and 4, and he's just out of reach for me to really catch a good draft. I'm just really, I mean, I got the thing, I was about to twist the grip off the bar. I was just twisting it as hard as I could, just trying to get up on him and catch that draft, and just couldn't catch it. So I basically followed him across the start-finish line. Steve ran great. All those guys really ran great, and ended up finishing 4th. I feel like, you know, I was happy with the way I rode on Saturday. in the race. I feel like given the power that I gave up, I really actually rode really good, and I gave it everything I could with what I had to work with. So I was super stoked. It would have been really awesome to be on the podium and be up there and have another trophy to hang on the wall. But fourth is what it is. So we were stoked on it. It was Daytona Speedway, so there's nothing to complain about. So super stoked on the weekend. The crew did a great job of keeping us on the track, and it worked out great. It was the last race of the season for BRL, and I ended up finishing second in the points behind Arnie. Arnie won the number one plate, the championship. So, a big congratulations to him and the Grand Teton team for that. They had a great season. I mean, I felt like I was constantly chasing Arnie at every race. It was just me and Arnie all the time. We just, no matter what, we found each other on the track for whatever reason. And it was special. It was a great year. A lot of respect for them, Arnie and their team. So we're going to look forward to another great season for 2023. Get out there and maybe stand on the top of the box at one of these races and maybe bring home the championship. That's what the goal is. I think I have the speed. I think the bike's getting better. I think I'm getting better. So I think we got some new talent coming in that's exciting. We'll see how it all shakes up here at the first race. So we'll see you in Pittsburgh. Thanks.